Hello everyone. How are you doing today? Sorry for the considerable delays. It seemed like I need to reboot my computer to clear some stuff out in there. But now we can finally get started. Welcome everyone. It's been a little while since I've done one of these dev streams. Last week I did a video edit stream instead, so... First of all, let's take a moment and check out where we're at right now with hand tracking. If I remember right, I had this completely working. Oh yeah, very nice. Smooth. So I can now easily throw the ball from one hand to the other in this little space. And if I miss it, it'll wrap back around and fall down. So we can catch the ball, carry it around, and throw. And it'll even bounce off the edges of my little VTubing space. Still a lot of debug stuff popping into there, but I'm not expecting that voice coming from that model. That's VTubing for you. At some point I do want to work on my voice and get it a little more like you'd expect from this kind of appearance, but there are so many things to do as a VTuber. And rather than voice, I want to focus on plugins like this to enable all sorts of fancy stuff that can be done. Millennium Cyborg, you're doing some coding too? That's great. Watching coders while doing coding is a good way to have just the right amount of background noise. Now, today's first goal is, as you can see, we can throw around one item pretty easily. But I want this to be juggling capable. So this is going to be multiple items, so first things first, we're going to rig in some more items to this avatar to throw around. And by the way, welcome to the stream, Zambuzi. How are you doing today? Are you interested in VTubers and VTuber technology? Because I do a lot of that. Do I want the new version? No, I don't. Do I want the new stuff I've been working on? No, I want the juggler. Alright, is this the right avatar? It looks like the right avatar. I've got so many variations from all the junk I've been doing, because I'm always tinkering with this. Alright, so as we can see, the hands and the ball are rigged directly into the model and controlled by parameters. And so the plugin functions by actually moving these parameters, feeding in parameter data, like face tracker data. And so we want to do that, but with some other stuff. So first things first. This is another thing I've kind of taken from the VTuber who's given me inspiration on this. Mitama Sakumaru, the virtual juggler. But I want to see if I can actually juggle my actual head as one of these items to throw around. So let's see if we can find head. Where is the head? Alright. Can we just copy paste this? Okay, we do, but we just get the deformer. Well, I figured as much. If we do it this way, then copy, then paste. And we still just get the head, just get the warp deformer. So I guess this is going to be a little trickier than that. Select child objects, edit copy. Does this work now? Copying and pasting in this is not very... I think we got it. Yes, we do. We have duplicated the whole head. Fantastic. Now we can go ahead and take out some things that we're not going to want. I don't even know why those are there. Display warp, so we'll delete that whole deformer and its content. Hair deformers. Head face. All right. Actually, one thing I'm wondering is, do the properties get carried over? Do the parameters for movement carry over? They do. So this duplicate head will move just like the original. Okay, now we can move this away. Yay, it's a double head. It's a floating head. Alright, enough of that. And now we shrink it to about the size of this ball. I don't want it to be too small or it'll lose its detail. Because I think this will actually respond to face tracking data while it's being juggled, and I want that to be noticeable. Alright, let's see. Yep, so we'll put it about there. Yeah, shrink it down just a little bit more. Put the center right there. And there we have it. Now the next thing we want to do is create a separate parameter for it. So we want item 2 x and item 2 y. And those will control the left to right movements. It's been a while since I set up the original parameters, so I don't quite remember. Let's check the parameter settings. Okay, so this should be minus 175 to 175. And you need item 2y, item 2y. And because there's more vertical movement space, this one has really bizarre settings, but I have to set some exact stuff because minus 30 to 530. Because we need to have a consistent coordinate system for all the items to move. Let's make sure their defaults are, 0 and 0. Actually, we can do replicate parameters. But there's not much point to that. What? Did I just screw something up? Well, let's smash undos until everything looks not screwed up. Alright. Now I think we can copy-paste parameters somehow. That did not work. I copy-pasted the head. Copy-pasted. Anyway. Actually, I know how to do this. You should find the ball deformer and copy that. What was that? So, copy. Deformer of position adjusting. I'm not sure why that's coming out differently. So without knowing what that's doing, I'm just going to delete it and hope for the best. And now we move our mini head into the ball. And now it should move along with the ball. Which of course is not exactly what we wanted to do. So we shuffle around these deformers a bit. And let's see. Oops. I still have a ways to go in learning how to use Live2D. So copy. Can I paste it like this? I know there's some way to paste parameters, but that is not it. Come on. Now the troublesome part is that there isn't really good documentation for this kind of thing. Synthesize, group, reflect, interpolation. Okay, let's go check the Live2D Cubism manual. So I remember seeing something along these lines. Was it parts? Parameters. Parameters, copy paste value. That's what you want. As you might be able to see, it's poorly translated. That's why I don't like to rely on the Live2D documentation. So, let's see. Judging from this untranslated Japanese screenshot, there is a separate item on the menu that I should be looking at. Well, these information is not useful because it's too poorly translated. Yep, we'll just have to rely on that and figure our own stuff out. Okay, so item on X. Warp deformer. Okay, according to the info here, there should be more items on the menu, but I absolutely do not see more items on the menu. Let's see. Well, it says it was updated somewhat recently. You know, I've been ignoring the do you want to update Live2D Cubism stuff for a while, so maybe I need to do that. Maybe that's my problem. Okay, so I'll hop away for a moment and try and update Live2D and see if that gives us this functionality. I'll just hop over to this other screen while I do that. Download. Cubism setup. Oh, while I do that, how is everyone doing tonight? What kinds of things are you working on? What kinds of schemes do you have in mind? Hey, welcome, Aardvark Grenadier. How are you doing tonight? You baked a cake? That's definitely a good way for your life to go on a Friday night. What kind of cake did you bake? Sorry, my brain is a little scrambled here because I updated, but the new version isn't loading, so... Yeah, my start menu. My start menu shortcuts have been out of date. Installs a new version but keeps the old version? What kinds of crazy software is this? Caramel macchiato cake? Coffee flavored cake with caramel vanilla buttercream? That sounds interesting. I tend to like my stuff more on the sweeter side, but that does sound like an interesting combination nevertheless. And on Cyborg's side, you are out of brain cells for your own work, but you're reverse engineering an old ray tracer. Nice. Reverse engineering old code is the kind of thing that can be either really interesting or really annoying. Hopefully it's the former. And yeah, the outline around my avatar really is pretty nice. I think I left it on by mistake because I was messing with stream effects last time I used OBS, but I thought it looked pretty nice, so I left it on. But here we go. We're back here. It honestly looks nicer than the pink glowing effect they had before. It's more subtle, but on the other hand, it pops more at the same time. Gives it a bit of oomph without stealing the show. I like a good caramel macchiato drink, so I turned it into a cake. What is a caramel macchiato drink? I've never heard of it. I take it involves coffee, caramel, and vanilla. Alright, so let's see. Now we have copy parameter value. I guess it's a new function. So, how do we use that? Okay, so copy, paste. That did not give what I was hoping for. Okay, so that doesn't copy keyframes. It copies just the current values that are entered. It's good for previews, but not helpful here. Because what I want to copy and paste isn't really the parameters themselves, it's the keyforms. Can I do that easily? I'm skimming just really quickly, but suffice it to say that this is barely comprehensible. Please don't tell me I have to redo all the keyforms by hand. I guess even if I do, it's not that bad. I simplified it a lot compared to the original setup. Yeah. Looks like there's no way around doing it by hand. Caramel vanilla latte? Yeah, I can see that being pretty good. Caramel and vanilla are both things you put in latte anyway. Well, actually, I'm overthinking this, or underthinking it, or something. Since I've already got the right positions on the item ones, I can just copy those values over pretty easily. It looks like the eye whites are messed up and pissed off. Okay, what's going on here? So we move this over. I guess while we're at it, we'll look at the deformer tree and see what's up with the... Where's the eyes? Cheek, mouth, I-L, I-R. The eyes are the most complicated tree in this, so it's not surprising if something's a little messed up. Okay, I white R2, I white R2. Everything looks fine in the clipping settings. The clipping is basically what hides stuff that goes outside of where it should be. It's what keeps the eyeball inside the eye, basically. If the iris goes outside of the white, the outside area is hidden. So the white basically acts like a visibility zone for the contents of the eye. I can't think of a better word for it. I know there's a better word, but I can't think of it. But the point is that it looks fine. But anyway, delete this keyform. Okay, basically it's getting pissed off because I'm trying to do that. Basically, I can't just crib off those values so easily. Or something. Wait, I didn't need to do that individually. There's a button for wiping all keyforms. Maybe that would help. It saves me from the scary error messages anyway. Now the X is pretty easy, but first we should turn on the ball, because we're going to want this to be where the ball is. Hey Noah, Nola, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I don't remember, but regardless, thanks for coming by. Thanks for saying hi, and thanks for the +1. Thank you. I'm just trying to make interesting stuff for VTubers, interesting interactive stuff. You know, I want to make the most of this medium. So for item 2X, we set the same keyframe as we would for 1X, and we move the head to the same location, just using the ball as a reference. Now we set the keyframe, and we do the same thing on the other side. We use the ball as our reference point to set our keyframe for the head. There. That looks good. Now the head's got the same horizontal movement. And we'll want to do the same thing on the Y side, but first let's check the parameter setting, or the keyframe list. It's in here. Okay, we gotta select the ball and then check it, because the keyforms for Y are still a little more complicated. Alright, minus 30, 0, 500, 530. So the vertical space that in the canvas is 0 to 500, and then we put a bit of wiggle room on both sides so that stuff can wrap around and overflow. But we'll want the same stuff here. So we create minus 30, 0, 500, 530. Whoops, we did that on the wrong deformer. We want to do that on the head, not the ball. Easy for things to get out of whack there. 530. Alright. And now we're going to do the same thing and set the ball to a value and then follow the ball. So minus 30 should be down here. You even got this helpful guideline from before. Good thing I didn't wipe those. And now 500 is all the way up here at the top limit. So we bump that up. Maybe I should have tagged this in art stream, at least at first. Oh well. At the level I'm doing this stuff at, it hardly matters. And now for 530, we do the same thing. It's like they say, any sufficiently powerful technology is indistinguishable from art. Yes, I know that's not the actual quote, but I like it. When you get into VTubing, it certainly is appropriate anyway. We're using technology to become art, and I love it. Alright, and now with that, we can link it up. But we're not done yet. We've handled the vertical and the horizontal, but we still need to do the corners. Because the automatic corner synthesize cannot handle these complicated keyforms. It's only good for very simple stuff. Fortunately, we've still got the ball to act as our reference, so this is much easier than the first time around rigging up the ball. So bottom right, left corners like that. Bottom right corner should be like that. All right. And now the top corners. That way the head will move like this instead of like this. All right. Now it's actually getting difficult to select that for some reason, so we'll enter that manually. Scroll it up. And set. Now we just do the topmost corner, which is the same thing. Take it up there. And line it up with the guideline, and there we have it. And then we just do the same thing on the right side. So, there we go. Alright. And then the very top right, same thing. And there we have it. And now the head should move smoothly around, independently of the ball. Is that right? Does that feel right? Okay, the ball moves the same way, so... Yep, these all check out, check out, check out. Yep, head's where it's supposed to be in all positions. And one reason I reuse the head here is because it inherits the rigging from the actual head. And so, like I said before, it will actually respond to face tracking, even though it's being juggled. Wait a second, why the hell isn't the XY linked? Well, that would explain why I've been dissatisfied with the head movement. The corners aren't set up properly. All this time, all these months, the head rigging corners haven't been set up properly. I could smack myself. So let's find the correct stuff. Warp deformer of skull. Did I never synthesize corners on this one? The hell? Or is it just synthesized corners not being good enough? Oh yeah, that looks like not good enough. That is extremely not good enough territory right there. That is amazing in its own right. So, undo. Well, I'll address that later. I guess all the more reason to re-rig. I'd been thinking about going back and redoing the head movement anyway, so... let's step away from that and do something a little less embarrassing for a moment. So the eyes will close. Come to think of it, the eyeball X and Y isn't linked either. Wow, I totally screwed this up. That explains a lot. Alright, I'll just leave myself a note for later to address that. Ugh. Well, anyway. Anyway. No, we'll put in one more thing to reg. Some kind of throwable item, maybe. But what? Let's see. I guess first things first, I'll see if I have some random junk laying around I can just throw in there. What the heck. If 2 work, that'll be a good enough proof of concept for me. Because if 2 work, then 3 will work fine. So we'll just roll with it for now. File, save. Alright, can I turn the fucking clock invisible by default? Because as much as I like that clock, I don't need it on all the time. So default, 0. Default, 0. Alright, have a good night, Millennium Cyborg, and by the way, just so you know, I'm moving my stream starts forward on Saturdays, so from now on Saturdays I'm going to be streaming games 2 hours earlier than usual. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you and my other viewers from other time zones. Have a good night and good luck with your ray tracing project. Anyway, we pop that. And now we export the avatar. Export as file. You wait a moment. Is everything normal? User data. Don't remember what I've been changing in this lately. I want to overwrite the model3.json. I don't remember what's in that. Let's see, this. Yeah, we don't need to overwrite this. Seriously, I have like 5 different variations of my avatar now. I got the original standard, I've got the one with the clock on its head. I've got the juggler. I've got one testing out the Halo stuff I've done the other day. Seriously, my rig stuff folder is huge. So copy that stuff. Up over to VTS. I'll change avatar for a bit. And now we change back. Ha ha! Ha ha! Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Do 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 do. All right, and now we turn on the hands. We turn on the ball. And come to think of it, there isn't anything set to make it move differently from the ball. Well, we'll see if it moves at all. Let's see, is there anything we need to do? Alright, there's a hard-coded item count here that we need to change to 2. And I think I did all the other prep work for this last time. So, comment out some excessive log stuff. And now let's give it a try. Okay, the head's not moving. So, we did something wrong. Or something isn't set up all the way. So let's take a closer look at what needs to be done. Okay, so if item count, we set up stuff for both items. We read in the data. I'm a little surprised because I thought last time I set this all up for multiple item support, but clearly something ain't working. So this takes multiple items. Yep, we can go ahead and remove that. Oh, right. I always forget there's a manual step in there. You can create custom parameters automatically, but they can't be linked automatically. Have to go up and manually link those custom parameters to your Live2D parameters. To X. I'm glad I remember that before I got too deep in the weeds trying to figure out what was going on. 2Y. So our plugin adds custom tracking parameters. And right here we are now connecting them up to the Live2D parameters we rigged up before. Alright, that might be all we needed. It sure was. Oh, cool. You even get them moving separately. Just from the physics of it. Now, we are noticing a problem already in that both of them stop moving when either one is caught. I mean, I'm not a very good juggler, so maybe this is the kind of handicap I need. But honestly, it makes it difficult to work with. Still, I'm just glad that this head is moving at all. Wee. Anyway, as amusing as it is to have the one item freeze in the air when the other one is caught, that's not the intention I'm going for here. And the issue is obvious. We have a single global caught. We're not tracking it independently for... Where is that getting created anyway? Yeah, we're tracking it globally. Where just like everything else, we need to have a separate caught track for each item. So, we'll make it an array. Easy peasy. This is already an array, so we handle it the same way we handle everything else. Well, actually, I think all of the caught checks are inside this. So we can make it even simpler and separate this out and use local assignment. So now when we start a checking for an item, let caught equals this I. And at the end, we write it back to that global item. And there we have it. Now that local variable can do all the actual checking. We don't have to change our code within this loop. And we just read the value out at the beginning of the loop and write it back into the end of the loop. Easy peasy. Now we need to initialize it, so just like with the momentum list, we'll just use the value that already sets up that list and write in the initial value of false at the very beginning of the program. And so that goes and checks how many items we have and sets up the data arrays for the same amount of items. And that should be everything. Is that everything? Is it really that easy? It might very well be. Wow, advanced prep is scary. Well, though I call that advanced prep, I did that on stream last. COD is not defined. Oh, right, wrong variable name. It should be caught list here. Try it again. Okay, our downside is that they now move together because one being caught when the other wasn't was what was breaking them up before. Now that we've removed that difference in behavior, they have identical forces acting on both of them. So they act the same way. So let's fix that. So at the very start, we should introduce some extra value to differentiate them. So instead of initializing them with a momentum of 0, we'll initialize them with a randomized momentum between 0 and 100. Since they'll have different momentums, since they're each getting assigned separately, they should spread apart. On there. Is it math.rand? I feel like there's some other catch too. Okay, it's math.random. And it goes between 0 and 1. And it's not high enough quality for security, but this isn't secure. I mean, this isn't a security thing. So, random. But 0 to 1 is easy enough. We can just multiply by 100. So 1 will become 100, 0.5 will become 50, and so on. Alright. Kind of want to relayer this so that the head is in front of the arm. Hand, I mean, but still. Yeah. Be a parameter to let you do any number. I'm not sure there is since it's JavaScript. Okay, once they get bound up together, they stay bound up together. But, yeah. JavaScript's math.random doesn't have a parameter. If you want to do anything but 0 to 1, you have to math it out yourself. I mean, with something simple like this, it's not hard to work with, but it's just something that's easy to forget and then, whoops. Okay, to make it more difficult for things to get bound up like that, I think we'll add a bit of a random value to the throw stuff too. So this is Y. When I saw this part, I thought to myself, why the heck are there two things doing the same thing? And that means I need to document more. But this is where the throw gets decided. So here we have throw impulse plus so I feel like this should be a constant of some sort so that it can be set centrally and changed easily. I should make a helper function for this. So got a function called randomize, taking a multiplier parameter. And there we have it. Just make a random number, add in the multiplier. But that should remove a bit of boilerplate. And we'll make this a constant. Not sure what number to decide for those yet. We just want to make sure that there's some random values thrown in there so that if both balls get caught by the same hand, they still don't move exactly the same way. So where's the throwing code again? Okay, here we were. This is Y, so we want that. Random throw Y factor. Throw impulse is 140, so the amount that we should add in there is... Why not just do a 10th of throw impulse? We can tweak that later if need be, but that seems like a good way to look at it. And on the X side of things, we're already multiplying by a multiplier. So, well, we'll still put a constant in there anyway, but I think we can probably do less than one here. So, random throw X factor. Oh, outdated variable name there. And now we gotta do something I often forget to do and make the same changes to the left hand that we did to the right hand. Fortunately, it's not a very complicated change. And now we can give it another shot. Catch him with the same hand. Okay, not enough X divergence. We're seeing some Y divergence, but not enough to separate them without an X difference. Oh, there we go. Still, it seems like I shot a little too low for the X. If I were a math bot, I could have mathed out the physics to make this work. But instead, I'm just gonna try it out and go with my gut. So, increase that by 10. Well, if it's too much, we can just bump it back down. So, once again, we catch them both the same hand and throw. There we go. Okay, so if we get a good throw in there. I guess that makes sense since we're working off a modifier. The larger the change, the larger the potential divergence. Ah. Still. I wonder if there's something I should do. Some extra measure that should be taken to watch for that case specifically. For now, I can leave it up to the user, because they do separate if you get a good throw in, if you're a little careful with your dexterity. Well, they sometimes separate anyway. I feel like we could still use some more X divergence. Alright, we bumped up the numbers a fair bit. Too much. We're adding too much. So let's see. Horizontal throw multiplier plus randomize. I should be adding to the final result, shouldn't I? That would make the gaps less extreme anyway. So we move the parentheses around and throw that on the end. And we do the same thing to the other hand. And we'll try these numbers now. Okay, that separates pretty well now. More so because of the Y gap, but whatever. Probably too random though. The best solution would be to only be able to throw one at a time. Yeah, I think the excessive randomization makes it too difficult to deal with. So I'll bump it down to nice low numbers. And add in a check here. So if caught and if not already throwing, then we check the throw. And throwing equals true. Throwing equals true. Okay, with this, for any given frame, only one ball can be thrown. In practice, a frame is a pretty short period of time, so I'm not sure how much this will actually help. But should at least introduce some different forces in, because they'll be thrown at different times instead of at the same time with the same forces. Let's see how it works in practice. Okay, I think this is pretty good. Yeah. Between the randomization and the one at a time throwing, this feels good. I'm happy with this. All right. We I love it so much the little head copies the big head's movements. I didn't even really have to do anything with it. It's so simple yet so effective as an effect. Alright, so let's see. That is some save as right there. And now the next thing I want to do is explore how to make this configurable so that other people can use it without having to hardcode stuff. Well, I should probably explore these to-dos too, but let's see, what is this? What does this do? Okay, so this is the catching code. If the item location is within a certain Y value of the hand, then if it's within a certain value of X value of the hand, okay, let's see. If the ball's at 30 and the hand is at 20, then this will be 10, which is below the hand value. Meanwhile, if this is minus 30 and this is 20, the distance will be too big regardless of what we do with the sign. So this to-do note here is wrong. That's all. Seriously, it leaves so much cruft around. So much craft. And parameters. I better check how the parameters are rigged here. Okay. So, expressions, hands visible. Left hand goes right over there. Right hand goes right over there. But most people aren't going to have it rigged this way. For most people, the hands will go in separate directions. For most people, positive for the right hand will be to the right, and negative to the left hand will be to the left. Or something. Let's see what the VTubeStudio manual says on hand tracking actually, because that's what we're developing against, or should be. Okay. So hand left position X. X distance to center, left hand. Outwards is 10, inwards is minus 10. Hand right position X. X distance to center. Outwards is 10, inwards is minus 10. Okay, so for the right hand, toward the left is negative. The left hand toward the right is negative. So yeah, that's the opposite of how I have it now, where positive is the same for both hands. So I'm going to have to go back in and change that. And more importantly, I'm going to have to figure out how to make that work. But first of all, I'm going to diagram it so that it's easier to remember. Let's see. And actually, I think those directions are reversed. Yeah. So, you move it like this. Fill in those spaces. Okay, so right hand will be green, left hand will be orange. Should be blue if we're gonna mimic what we're doing here, so. In. That's really annoying, honestly. Okay. Create a new layer so we're not getting jammed up with that. Okay. So for the left hand, positive is over here. And negative is over here. For the right hand, negative is over here, and positive is over there. Okay, it's easier to conceptualize with the visual reminder. So now we can pop cubism back open. Well, actually, even more important than rigging it is making sure the code can handle it. So first things first. Let's think about how we're going to implement this in practice. Having totally different coordinates for each hand. All right. So the first things first. Left hand versus right hand. Now the way we've currently got it rigged, which I'll put in orange, is plus minus. So the left hand will stay as it is, the right hand will have to be reversed. Keep this as a reminder in the corner or something, because this is just driving me wild. Nah. Where'd my mouse go? Okay, so probably all the units on the right side are gonna have to be reversed. Makes my head hurt having to juggle all those numbers properly. So there's the catching code here. And there's a throwing code here. So the code that currently checks if it's in the same hand is instead going to have to check for opposite hands. Or opposite signs. What a pain. Let's see what we can do to move the keyforms around. Multi-key editing. What does that do? Yes, right after I said that the rigging was less important, I'm going in to mess with the rigging. That's just how I am. Right now, the rigging part is what's interesting me, so that's what I'm going to do. So, multiple keys editing. Okay, it says editing, but there's not really anything you can do with this. It looks like it's just for changing opacity and draw order. In other words, not useful. Inversion of movement. Okay, so reverse motion. Let's see how that actually works in practice. So hand R. Modeling, parameter. Reflect motion or bulk reflect? Alright, let's see if that did anything. Probably help if I make the hands visible. Okay, they're now reversed. Oh, that was easy. It's unpleasant because now I can't use that as an excuse to flake out on the code side. Because with that being done that easily, I will be able to test it this stream. But while I'm here, why don't I check into making sure that the mini head goes above the ball and above the hand. Oh, I see this is going to be a bit of a problem, and that's all stuck together. I wish there was a way to make new folders in this. Maybe there is. I don't think there is, but I've already got the documentation open, so why not? Parts. Parts palette. Okay, filter, name, art mesh, filters, rotates, batches, draw orders, create new. Are you kidding me? There was a new folder all along, it was just down there. All this time I thought it was impossible. Well, I'm not going to dwell on it. If I spent any time dwelling on my mistakes, I'd never get anything done because I make too many mistakes. So we'll go down the list determining which head items are in the mini head. Looks like it's all powder on top, so it's not very difficult. Okay, those. And we'll put it up here. And now the mini head is on top. Perfect. I like the mini head more, so that works out. Now we will export again. Change VTubeStudio over to another model again. Export. And it will take a moment to save. So how's everyone doing tonight? We're getting along through December. I think we're about past the halfway point between Thanksgiving and Christmas now, so... Anyone have any Christmas plans they're looking forward to? I don't think I have anything in particular myself. For me, the only really thing I have planned is that I promised that at 100 followers I would do a special stream with a bunch of retro link-up games, and I have hit 100 followers, so that is something I'm going to have to do. I want to keep my promise there. I've just been waiting until I was feeling better because I had some stuff going on. I had an injury this week, so I've been recovering from that. Red Blue Fire, you're doing alright? That's good, I'm glad to hear it. Everybody should be doing alright. All should be right with the world. Pop that back over. And the little head is now on top. And there we have it. And now we have to figure out the stuff in the code that needs to be reversed. This is going to be annoying. And actually, I think now would be a good time to make a Git repository, which I never bothered to do, but initialize. Because I do want to have a branch to, like, prevent things from screwing up. We create a branch. And do what we need to do to hook that up. All right, so that'll be just a moment. All right. Ignore. All right. And now we go to source control. Check everything in. Hey there, Bentor, aka Bentai, aka the Bentor, aka the Bentai, aka our wonderful Tauren Pope. How are you doing tonight? Mitt. Wish. Alright, now that I've got this in Git and source control, if I screw everything up, I can roll back to this known state I just checked in. Which is why I bothered with all that just now, because I think this is going to be some finicky stuff I'm going to be doing. Because I need to reverse all the right-hand values. You're doing good, you're messing with your CV1 head positioning to try and make text not sort of separate on a screen. That makes sense. VR headset positioning can be kind of a pain to get right. Especially with an older device with like the CV1. For myself, I've got the Quest 1, and that's a pain in its own right to deal with. Someday I'd like to try an Index, because that's got a good reputation for comfort, but it's so expensive and it's constantly out of stock anyway. There you get a 3080, you'll buy a G2. A G2? Is that a new Oculus model? Or is that some other new VR headset? I haven't been keeping up with VR these past few months. 2024? Hey, you never know. I've actually got a 3080. But I kind of got lucky in that soon after it came out, I got impatient waiting for it to become available and just got a pre-built that included it. These days I hear you can't even get a pre-built with the 3080, but back then people still hadn't given up on getting the card itself, so I was able to get one. HP G2, really nice one from what you understand. I'll have to look into that then. I'm pretty out of touch on the VR world. I mostly just know the Quest and the Index and not much in between. Look to the pre-built. One company said 8-week lead time at minimum. Yeah. I mean, I had the lucky break that I started thinking about doing VTubing around the same time the 3080 came out. So I was able to plan my equipment purchases around getting a nice gaming computer, nice graphics card. And because I was going to be moving at the time, I couldn't start streaming right away. I would need to wait a couple months anyway. So I was able to wait for all the hardware to come in and get set up. So because of the timing, I was able to plan it pretty well. How fortuitous indeed. Yes, it was. Okay, so right hand. We need to reverse a bunch of stuff. Do I want to make that a toggleable behavior? I guess setting a constant for it gives me the advantage that I'll get a reminder for what's going on. So let's see. Your 1080 does a trick for VTubing in the games you play, but some VR kind of pushes it to a limit. MS Flight Sim is the fight to keep a stable 30-45 FPS. Yeah, I can see that. At some point I do want to get to the really fancy VR environment VTubing stuff. And who knows when that's going to be, because I'm keeping myself very busy messing around with the Live2D. Who knows when I'm even going to get around to building a 3D avatar. But it is something I think is really cool, having those whole VR environments, VR effects. You know, I like making these 2Ds interactive, but it's not just about the 2D. Speaking of 2D... right, I have to reverse the config in VTubeStudio as well. And position X. Remove the minus sign. Place it down here. Right, that's better. And it seems like my machine can drive VR games pretty well, though it can have a surprising bit of trouble with video editing at times, but I don't know, at some point I'm really going to get into it. It's on my to-do list. But my to-do list is long and I keep coming up with more stuff to put on there. Honestly, I've been having a really good time with Live2D lately, just discovering more about it and figuring out new cool stuff to do with it. And the only problem is I can't draw at all and I'm poor at art. So I do have a limitation there. I'm hopeful that won't be as bad with 3D, but... I don't know, we should play VR games together sometime. VR chat or something. Who knows? There's a lot of them out there. Okay, change gears, think about the numbers. The numbers, I hate math. Okay. Totally, you'll need to go back to your original 2D artist again and pray they'll make you a 3D avatar. Oh, do you have an artist that does both 2D and 3D? That's pretty nice. I mean, personally, I'm probably just going to tinker with VRoid on my own, but my avatar has relatively human dimensions. I know that VRoid can be a problem for people with a little more exotic in the avatar, a little more unusual. And I don't think VRoid would do your wonderful Tauren face justice, Bentai. Originally did just 2D and only tinkered with 3D. At last check, they moved fully into 3D and specialized in furry non-human art. Nice! That's a rare thing to find, and it's even your old 2D artists who did it, so you've worked with them before, they know your character. Wow, that is just ideal. Assuming that they're not booked till the end of time, but still, if they get an opening for you, that would be really, really nice, probably. Hard part is getting them to reply to you. It do be like that sometimes. It certainly does. Now I hope that you do get a response from them. And okay, let's see. Item value y greater than or equal to the difference. You can go sit by them for a year and you're all, your work is amazing and I want to pay you more for extra goodies. I know, right? I don't understand how it can be that way. And again, I don't do commissions yet, so I don't know, but sometimes it's like, all I want to do is throw you money and tell you your stuff is awesome. Why can't I get a hold of you? Why? All I want to do is nice things for you. It's a difficult world. So hand RY minus hitbox hand Y. So yeah, if they at least tell you they're busy, then you can plan around it. They can give you a timeline and you can plan around it, or they can tell you, nope, I'm indefinitely busy and you can go find someone else. That uncertainty is the worst. Okay, so shoot. You know what? I just thought of a really simple way to handle the reversing. Instead of going through and reversing it in all the physics calculations one by one, I'm just going to reverse it when I read from VTubeStudio. Times minus 1. Brilliant. Oh, I'm glad I got distracted long enough for that to rattle around in my head a little. That will reverse everything where it needs to be reversed. No issues at all. From the physics code's point of view, we won't even realize anything changed. Theoretically. Let's see. Whoop. Oh yeah. Right hand still works. Right hand still throws. Hell yeah. That was way easier than I feared it was going to be. Whoop. Oops. Gotta work on my coordination with this. It's harder than it looks. Oh, it might be a little easier if I had actual hand-shaped hands instead of colored ellipses. Rather than catching things with my hands, this is more like playing Pong with my hands. Playing two-player Pong, where I'm both players. Well, I can't complain about something this nice, honestly. This moving talking head alone is going to be amazing video material. I can have so much fun with this. Honestly, I love seeing it in action. It's so great. It's like some people care about seeing their numbers go up. I care about making cool crap like this. If even one person sees something that's cool and says, "Ha, that's funny," or "Wow, that's awesome," I am happy. Alright, so next up, we'll comment this stuff and then kind of get a sense of what needs to be available for customization so other people can use this. Alright, so these. So the hitboxes will definitely be set by avatar, because those will be made to fit the hitboxes to the hand size for any individual avatar. The boundaries will keep, since those effectively allow people to set how they've rigged it. And these are physics constants, which we might still let people customize for their own bet to tweak the experience to their liking, but they're not necessary customization the same way. The randomization, I see no reason not to let people tweak that. We should put a note on the right hand so that we know why it is. I don't think we need this to be customizable, because people won't have rigged this stuff in by default. If they're going to use this, they're going to follow my directions, so I can tell them, rig it to match your left hand's parameter space, coordinate space. And that should make it nice and easy. And as for how to set this, there's basically 2.5 choices. We can use a JSON config file, or we can set up a web browser, a web page to configure with, or we can set it up in Electron, which bundles the web space right there in it. And the big question is how to make sure people can start and stop this at will, and having it showing in a web page with a start-stop button would be good for that. Though I'm not actually sure the code as written right now supports being able to start and stop at will. And so actually, why don't I just check on that? Let's see. Yeah, you could easily add a stop function here by just turning off the events that keep this thing flowing. With the events turned off, everything will naturally grind to a halt after the next frame, and continue that way until we restart it by running start code again. I don't feel like messing with that right now, so I'll just note that down in a comment. Okay, so there is that. Actually, now that I'm using source control, I should start checking in my changes. Can I not check in just specific changes? I guess I have to check in the whole thing. Not really a problem. Just something I'm gonna have to be aware of now. So, we make our commit note. Okay, commit, sync. All right. Yeah, I think running a web page would be best, because then there's some UI that people can communicate with. And I guess the question is whether to use Electron or just run a web server. Neither is ideal. Running a web server means that we're running a local web server, which is kind of overheady and requires API communication. Well, as Electron, I think we can do without that, but we instead have to deal with bundling like Chromium. Which is something like 50 megabytes. 150 megabytes. Yeah, Electron is big. This is tiny code that doesn't need to carry around 150 megabytes of browser just to skip having to run a web server. Oh well. I hate to have to do it, but that's what we gotta do. Can we modularize this code somehow? It's long enough that I'm getting annoyed with it. I don't want to... If I'm going to put in something that does entirely different functionality, then... Well, I can always organize the code later. It's the worst that can happen. Famous last words. What's the worst that can happen? So first off, documentation. I don't remember how to start a local server in Node. Net.server would probably be fine. Yeah, I don't think we need a full-on WebSocket for that. And anyway, I'm more comfortable with the standard Ajax. So net.server. All right. I'll just put the server at the end. Open control connection. Probably need to import net for that, actually. Okay, we already do. Is that it? It feels wrong, but I get a sense that it's probably right. Server. We'll just follow the example in the node doc because why not? We'll set up our event listeners. Okay. Might as well stick with this for now. Port equals 8124. Should I change that? Probably. If only because it's in documentation here, so I'm sure a bunch of low effort projects are going to use that. There we go, that's a little better. And let's see. Now we've got a server and we'll need to take in commands on this server. Which means we need an API. I probably should have designed that before. I can probably design one right now, actually. Authorization, we don't really need auth, probably. Alright, let's see. What we need is API calls, basically. So we want to get customers, get configuration, oops, that's wrong. Add request. Set configuration. Start physics. Pause physics. So those are the bare minimum 4 things we're going to need. We can look at how to split it up more. Okay, I think I want the customization parameters and the physics parameters to be separate after all. So we'll rename these to signify that avatar configuration isn't quite right, but it'll do. Okay, and by doing this, we've now planned out more or less what we're going to need. We're going to need to be able to get these values. We're going to need to be able to set these values. We want to get these values and set these values. And we want to be able to start and stop the physics engine. Now that we've got our plan here, bit HTML, we can start working on a web page, which will be how we control this. For now, we'll just create our fields that we need to fill, and we can worry about styling and appearance later. Okay, and we may be able to combine the start and stop physics into a single call that just toggles them. After all, the server will know their state, but it doesn't necessarily have to tell that to the client. The client can just say, hey, toggle the thing, and the server can figure it out. So let's look at what we need. And we're basically going to put together a little form to hold all the values. Do we want to have a number or text? Number is more familiar, but and text is more familiar, but I think numbers should be fine. Type is number. Do we have to make the max 3? Theoretically, there is no upper cap. As it's currently written, it can handle as many items as you care to rig. But for sanity's sake, I think I'll cap it at 9 for now. Okay, so label that. Just trying to get the basic info in there, and I can tweak it later. We'll probably start copy pasting here actually. Honestly, we don't need to worry about pre-filling these because when this first loads, they should get pre-filled from the actual values currently in use at the server. Which means some default should be baked in. Well, I'm gonna have to explain this well in my instructions for this, because Live2D param boundaries will mean nothing to just about anyone. Because it's a concept that's essentially been invented for this janky-ass physics engine I've invented. But no, we do not want a minimum. Because even in our own setup, that goes to -30. Okay, that's the avatar customization. Try not to think too much about the details just yet. And now the physics customization. How much are we going to include in that? I mean, any of it could potentially be customized. That's why we put it in here. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Some of those might have to be real back in. We'll see. Is that what this is? Throw impulse. What is throw impulse? Yep, it's vertical. Okay. Okay, speed limit. Folder. This one 0. Let's set a placeholder for that one because it should be negative by default. Momentum lower cap. What is that? So glad I moved all this junk out. Maximum falling speed. I should put these in here so I don't forget what goes to what. Because I'm probably not completely finishing this tonight. I'm starting to get tired. Draw a multiplier. Randomize start forces. And the Y will need something different for. We'll just throw that in here to make it really obvious there's something still to do there. And there we have it. We've got the beginnings of a decent front-end control page for this. And this will be the key to making it something people can use. We'll have an actual UI, so people can control it from some kind of decent UI. You don't have to modify things directly into code like I will. Will it work in IE5? I don't think so. We'll be using Ajax to communicate with the server, which I don't believe is supported in IE5, and even if it is, I don't really want to go out of my way to maintain IE5 compatibility because I have to do that kind of thing in my day job, and I'm sick of it, to be honest. I want to be able to use the fancy, modern, state-of-the-art JavaScript stuff in my personal projects because I can't use it in my professional projects. Not that IE compatibility really matters in this day and age, unless you're a poor old bent eye. Sorry, fella. You're just getting left out in the cold today. But yeah, in all honesty, one of the nice things about doing personal projects like this is that I can avoid doing that. I don't have to maintain old compatibility. I can use the stuff that people use, not just the stuff that businesses use. Windows 98 SE will be viable again one day? Oh, I'm sure it will be, and I do want to do some kind of retro collab with people somewhere along the lines. I know a few retro VTubers, and I generally seem to get along with them. And especially the ones with a really retro vibe, like Old Lady Katie or Millennium Cyborg. Ew. But for tonight, I think this will be our stopping point. To be honest, I'm a little tired right now. It's a bit of a short stream because I spent so much time with those early technical difficulties, but I still think we got some good progress and I had a good time. Thank you for coming, everyone. For those of y'all on Twitch, I'll go ahead and find somebody to raid. For those on YouTube, thank you for coming. I'll let y'all know that my usual Saturday stream time is going to be moved up a couple hours. From now, I'm going to try streaming at 6 p.m. Eastern instead of 8 p.m. So I'll move it 2 hours earlier. Let's see, there's Zafra, there's Old Lady Katie, there's Taika. It's been a little while since I've rated Taika. Let's go check out Taika. Thank you for coming, everyone. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please go ahead and follow me here or on Twitter to keep up with what I do. Sometime in the near future, I'll open up a Discord to help keep track of my projects, and I do want to have a place where people can get support on this stuff once I release it, but for now, it's just Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, and I've actually been doing some nice stuff on Twitter, on YouTube lately. But thank you all, and have a good night. For those who want a raid message, it's completely optional, but some people have requested it. So this will be our raid message. Once again, thank you and have a good night.